Hello and welcome to Sometimes Relevant, Always Talking Football podcast, the most popular, never listened to podcast in the world. You're here with me, James, and Jack.
Hello.
For this week's best football gossip. Jack's got 4 pieces of true gossip to start with today.
Okay, let's start with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. I hope is that how you pronounce it? I think it is. Anyway. Okay, according to John Cross at the Daily Mirror, Manchester United's Executive Vice Chairman Ed Woodward is now targeting the Borussia Dortmund striker Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. United are reportedly ready to offer in excess of £60 million for the player and are even willing to offer him a £200,000 a week deal. According to the writer of the piece, Cross, Aubameyang's representatives have already been contacted by Manchester United and they're hopeful of putting off the deal.
Well, according to Aubameyang and what he said in September, Jack, I don't want to break this news to you because I know you're very excited. But he said he wanted to go to Spain as his next career destination. And last time I checked geography, I've got to know that for geography. And I checked, and Manchester's not in Spain yet. So you might, I think Aubameyang is obviously going to be rumoured with everybody because he plays for Dortmund, and all of Dortmund's best Bayern Munich. So he's either going to end up at Bayern Munich or Spain. I don't know why a man who's going to be in the Champions League next season, because if you look at the Bundesliga, it's apparent that Dortmund are going to come second. I don't know why a man who's going to be in the Champions League next season is going to consider going to a club that, let's be honest, your Champions League hopes hinge on how you do in the Europa League.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Manchester United is, at the moment, with our current manager, current setup, current squad, are an attractive proposition for any of the world's leading players at the moment. And Aubameyang is definitely one of the world's leading strikers. I think it's more likely he'll be in Real Madrid's colours much more than Manchester United's.
I wonder whether Lewandowski will go off to Real Madrid and Aubameyang will then go off to Bayern Munich.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
But I mean, Manchester United, even if they get Jose Mourinho, are not that attractive a proposition for him right now. As a footballer, he plays for a club that high press up the pitch, get the ball forwards as much as they can, and he thrives off that. With the manager who's rumoured to be taking over your current manager, say that happens in Mourinho, that doesn't play into Aubameyang's hands. And at the same time, when you can almost pick which club you go to, why are you going to pick Manchester United right now?
I mean, I would pick Arsenal. If I was him, I'd pick Arsenal over them because they fit his style of play.
Arsenal be in the Champions League. The only other English club that, Man City could go for him, but Pep Guardiola hates strikers. That said, he's got Lewandowski. And then you've obviously got, the smallest of small chances with that whole clock factor at Liverpool. Arsenal, I think, the only English club that he'd be attracted to that would be willing to pay £50 million for him, because I think United would be willing to pay that, but I don't think Liverpool would, and I don't think Chelsea would suit him. City, I think, are going to try and get Neymar or Suarez or Bale, one of those £100 million players. They're not going to waste their time with a £60 million player. They usually cost them the league. Look at Sterling.
Okay. Well, we've got our thoughts on that one, and let's move on to the next one. According to an article in The Guardian, Chelsea forward Eden Hazard recently told French newspaper La Parisienne, and I quote, "It is difficult to say no to PSG or to any of the teams capable of winning the Champions League. PSG are now in that category, and for me, winning the Champions League is my main aim." He later attempted to backtrack by saying, I quote, "For the moment, I'm not really thinking about a move." However, Chelsea interim boss Guus Hiddink later responded by saying, and I quote, "He is a contract that he extended, but first he must now get fit and show he's a top player, and then for Chelsea, which is a top club, he can be of huge value." That quote was reported by Peter Edwards of the Daily Express. James.
I also saw Hiddink in the same thing said that to be a top club, you had to win the Champions League, which was clearly a dig at PSG. Honestly, Do you think a Chelsea fan would be sad to lose Eden Hazard right now?
I think he's being very naive if he thinks, well, maybe they are in for him. But if I was him, I'd be thinking I've just had the worst season. I'm having the worst season of my career and my life, and I'm thinking I'm PSG going to come in for me. I think there's a bit of delusion there, but I mean, like a lot of people are saying, last season he was comparing with Cristiano Ronaldo, with Neymar, with Lionel Messi, and he's shown he's nowhere near that. He hasn't got the mentality, he hasn't got the talent.
Well,
Or no, maybe he's got the talent, but he definitely hasn't got the mentality.
He's got the mentality of Cristiano Ronaldo. That's the one thing they share in common. They're both ultra big dickheads. They both
The main difference is, James, is that Cristiano Ronaldo scores goals.
Cristiano Ronaldo plays higher up the pitch as well, but yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo puts the ball in the back of the net, and Eden Hazard isn't. So,
James, he scored 22 goals last season. He scored 1 goal this season, and from the penalty spot.
Last season, considering he plays a deeper role than Ronaldo, you can understand why people are saying he's quite similar. Because mentality-wise, when things are going well, they're pretty much the same. And mentality-wise, when things are going bad, they're pretty much the same, except for the fact that Ronaldo puts the ball in the net, just costs everybody else their chances. I think that Chelsea fans would not be upset to see Eden Hazard leave. I think there's players that deserve to wear the shirt more because they're willing to put in the effort. And, if the player isn't willing to show the effort, if the player isn't proud to wear your shirt, I say sell it as a Liverpool fan.
If you were the chief executive officer of Paris Saint-Germain, though, James, would you want Eden Hazard?
You know the talent he's got. You also know the season he's having. I would only go in for him if I could get him at the right price, and the right price is probably about halved or more since the summer.
So what's that, 30 million?
I mean, you're talking 35 to 40 million at a push.
Okay, let's move on to our next piece. David Prentice in the Liverpool Echo reports that AC Milan coach Siniša Milošević, I apologise for butchering that name, may have played that Mario Balotelli may have played his last match for AC Milan on loan. This reportedly comes after a lackluster substitute performance in their recent match against Genoa in Serie A. He only came on for 2 minutes. This is a quote from the AC Milan coach. "We should have scored a third goal and not risked at the end. It is also my fault, as those who don't sacrifice themselves for the team to the 94th minute will no longer set foot on the field. When he returns to Liverpool, he will still have 1 year left on his current contract." What do you make of that, James?
Mario Balotelli is one of those players. I was watching Paul from the Redmen TV talk about him. It's like there's these couple bits of wonderful moments, like you see in you see mainly when he was at AC Milan in the first spell. And then it's just shrouded in complete shit and non-commitment. Can someone change him? Like Mourinho's tried, Rodgers has tried, about 8 AC Milan managers have tried.
Mancini.
It's Liverpool was his last big chance, and you would argue that he's probably fluffed that. Can you see a player with as little commitment as Mario Balotelli fitting into the Klopp cycle? I say no. I say, look, Klopp is, but I know, I apologise for my phone going off. Mr. Milk keeps trying to contact me. But yeah, I think that I think with Mario Balotelli, it's a commitment. His commitment doesn't work for a Klopp team. Maybe it works for a Louis van Gaal team where you barely get the ball, but Mario Balotelli's chance at big clubs, he's had about 6, and he's failed at all of them. He's the only way he's going to learn is if he gets sold to like some shit like West Brom and plays there for a year or 2.
Right, let's move over to Juan Mata. James Cambridge over the Daily Express reports that La Liga side Atletico Madrid are confident of signing Manchester United midfielder Juan Mata for approximately £25 million. Cambridge hypothesises that Jose Mourinho's rumoured arrival at Old Trafford could see Mata frozen out of the first team. What do you make of that, James?
I don't know why Mourinho really doesn't rate Mata. I mean, it's probably one to ask you more what you make. You're the United fan, but Mata's not done that badly at United in comparison to your other players, has he?
Yeah, I mean, like, if you look at his stats, I think he's been involved in more like goals in terms of assists and scoring them than most other players. I mean, like, I'd probably say second only to Rooney in the period of time he's been there.
I was
But
no need to Martial this season.
um, but yeah, I mean, he's done well for us. Like, he didn't start well; it took him a while to get started, but he's done pretty well for us.
Matters.
I think. Sorry, you carry on.
I was just going to say, Mata scored 6 games in a row under Moyes at the end of Moyes' reign. So he didn't do that badly at the beginning. But
No. When he first came, it took him like 5 matches to get going.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, but he's done well for us, and I think obviously he's never going to be a winger. He should be playing central attacking midfield all the time, and he's done better there in the last few games, obviously, until
your problem
incident that happened at Sunderland.
Your main problem is that Rooney, as a player, is dropping further and further back on the pitch and would be better off behind a striker. But Rooney's not the player he was. Let's be blatantly honest about it. If Danny Welbeck came back and scored a lot of goals between now and the end of the season, and Daniel Sturridge came back and didn't have an injury between now and the rest of the season, the question marks over Rooney, if he wasn't captain, would be massively up, because Vardy and Kane should be walking.
Rooney. This is a conversation about one Mata, not about Wayne Rooney, James.
No, but my point is that you've got Mata and you've got Rooney, who could both play behind the striker fairly effectively if you played Martial as a striker. Mata is the better player right now at this time. Yeah, Rooney's had a bit of form, but... And then you're just looking, if he plays behind the striker, is he any worse than Coutinho or Oscar? Or, I mean, he's better.
I think Mourinho's main problem with him is that he supposedly doesn't run back that much. But I mean, like, he hasn't got, I don't think he's got like the stature or the physical attributes to be a tackler.
He can make a tackle. He's certainly, what my thing with Matt would be, you high press him. You tell him to press high up the pitch. Like, you tell your 4 attacking players, you press high up the pitch, and the defence on the ball, you close them down. The rest of the team set up so that they can't break us down. I think if you went for that with Mata, Martial, Depay, Rooney, or something along those lines, then yeah. But obviously, if you're going to talk about tracking back and players failing to track back, the main culprit for it in your team is Depay.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt about that. But let's finish this with saying, James, do you think he will go to Atletico Madrid?
If Jose Mourinho, well, Atletico banned from transfers. If Jose Mourinho comes Manchester United manager, I think it's more than likely that a number of players will leave and Mata will be one of the first out that door.
Let's finish our gossip pieces with a bit of a funny one. During Liverpool FC's 6-0 victory over Aston Villa recently, striker Divock Origi was caught in a passionate embrace on photograph with a male Liverpool fan. After the match, he said, and I quote, "Let's say he was emotional. I could feel the love, definitely. I turned and the first thing I saw was the fans. They were so happy and I wanted to celebrate with them. I think maybe on Valentine's Day they were a little bit more emotional, so I had some kisses, but it was nice."
Have you watched the celebration? It's quite funny.
I haven't.
I didn't know whether he was almost annoyed at it and trying to get away as quickly as possible and get out of everyone's arms by the end, because the smile had kind of gone off his face. But, it's a pretty funny one. He also tweeted with a close-up of the kiss himself, if you look on Origi's Twitter, which just said it must be Valentine's Day with a couple of laughing faces. At the end of the day, he scored a goal and you like to see players celebrate with the fans, and it was a hilarious moment on the right day of the year for it. Brilliant. And I hope Origi scores many, and I hope he gets kissed by many more fans as well. If he scores a winning goal in the Champions League final, I will also kiss him.
So, should we wrap it up there?
Yeah, I believe that's it.
So, you've been listening to Jack and James debate the latest football gossip with questionable levels of intelligence. For more from us, go to sometimesrelevantblog.wordpress.com. We don't even know our own links here. Thank you for listening from the Sometimes Relevant team.